Hello everyone, my name is Nick, and today it's time for another houseplant haul video. So we're going to go over all of the plants I have acquired over this last month, the month of November 2019. But before we get started with that, I do want to quickly talk about a product that I've been using in my home that I freaking love, and it's the Modern Sprout GrowFrame. Now you might be familiar with Modern Sprout because I do use another product of theirs in my home, the Modern Sprout Grow Bar, which is actually where the light is coming from up here. Now the Modern Sprout GrowFrame uses the same LED light that the Grow Bar uses, but it's the added bonus that it is a garden that hangs on your wall. So the Modern Sprout GrowFrame is directly plantable. However, I have also found that 4-inch nursery pots fit in there almost as if it was meant to be. So I've been really enjoying mix and matching these plants on my wall. Now this would be an excellent gift for the holidays, and I should also mention that Modern Sprout is doing a 25% off Black Friday deal. So if you're looking to try out their products, this is the time of year to try it out. We're going to begin today's plant haul with the Hoyas that I acquired this month, and the first one we're going to talk about is this Hoya sheperdii. Now they commonly refer to this Hoya as the string bean Hoya, and I think you can see why, because it looks like a hanging vine of string beans. And I do want to also point out that this Hoya is commonly mistakenly sold to me as Hoya Weyertii or Kentiana in the store where I work. So sometimes I order Hoya Kentiana and Weyertii and it comes in as sheperdii, which is not a problem, but I just want to point that out in case you're going into your local garden center and purchasing this Hoya mislabeled and you're kind of curious why it doesn't look like the pictures when you Google it. So I do want to point that out. And I actually been growing these two little Hoya sheperdii for about a year now, and I just recently got this larger one that I have potted in with it. So I do have a little bit more knowledge about this Hoya compared to the ones that are very new to me that I'll be sharing later on in this video. But I can tell you that Hoya sheperdii is very drought tolerant. It probably has something to do with these leaves being very long and very succulent. So if this plant was not getting enough water, the leaves that are kind of canoe shaped would fold in on themselves a little bit and pucker. And within watering, it should plump back up within a few days. And I wouldn't necessarily recommend underwatering this plant, but it can withstand drought very well. But I definitely wouldn't recommend overwatering this plant. That is for certain. These large leaves would definitely turn yellow and fall apart very quickly if you were giving this plant too much water. And this Hoya can also withstand some lower light. It probably has something to do with these leaves being very, very deep green. You can see against this pot, they're very, very deep green. So in lower light, obviously this Hoya is going to grow much slower, and you do want to water accordingly, so you would water this Hoya a lot less than if you were giving it brighter light, and it would definitely grow faster in brighter light. So, you know, do what you wish, but this is definitely a very versatile Hoya for your home. So that's why I wanted to point it out today. Really enjoy this plant. It's a great one for hanging up on a shelf. It's fantastic. And another plant that I got from my work, I did get that Hoya sheperdii from my work Urban Jungle, and I also got this Hoya Cornus Compacta, which is a Hindu rope Hoya. I think I actually had one that I either had to share with you last month or the month before that I got, but this one we got in a batch at my work and they were just so beautiful I couldn't pass it up. So super, super crinkly, super tight, so I really fell in love with this. And I'm always a little hesitant to get these in stock at the shop where I work because these are very prone to mealybug. And I'm always hesitant about that. I never want to send mealybug home with people. But the growers that I get these from told me that they actually dunk these in a solution to make sure that they're not going to have mealybug, so it makes me feel a bit better about selling them in the store, and it made me feel a lot better about bringing it home. So not to say it's going to work for the long run, but for at least when I'm selling them in the store, it made me feel a lot better about it. So I do want to point out that these, while they are a very common plant, they are definitely very prone to mealybug. Besides that, this Hoya would certainly appreciate some brighter light than many other Hoyas, so I do grow this one in particular, even though I've only had it for a week or two, but I grow it directly underneath a grow light to ensure that it's going to get enough light, because this Hoya really, really wants bright light to keep its very, very tight shape, and if you are not giving it enough light, this plant would probably get pretty funky, and I honestly don't think this plant would fare very well in lower light, so that is one thing to keep in mind. And moving into the Hoyas that I'm a little bit less familiar with, I actually got the rest of these Hoyas that I'm going to be sharing with you in a trade that I did with my friend Autumn, who is Plant Haven on Instagram. This right here is a Hoya rotundiflora, and if I'm not mistaken, rotundiflora in Latin means the square-shaped leaves, so I think that's what it's talking about. This is a very, very out there Hoya. I really enjoy the very interesting texture that the leaves have. It almost looks like crumpled tin foil. It's very, very strange. And they're a little bit fuzzy. They have very, very small amounts of fuzz on the leaves and the stems. So a really interesting Hoya. There's so many little nuances that I didn't realize about this plant until I had it in my own hands. So a really interesting plant. I'm really enjoying having this one in my possession. I'm hoping that it will grow well for me. I should mention, usually when I bring Hoyas home, they don't grow right away. Usually I have to wait a little bit for my Hoyas to really get going. They do take a while to start growing, but once they do start growing, they really grow. This is probably one of the plants I'm most excited about this month, honestly. It is such an interesting plant. I've been eyeing this one up on eBay for a while, admittedly, so I was really excited when Autumn wanted to trade this one with me. And another Hoya that I had gotten from her is this Hoya Sunrise, which you can see has some really beautiful red color and also some veination to it. So I still have yet to pot this one up, but I am really loving the look of this one. I have this one actually growing right now inside my Modern Sprout GrowFrame, where I can ensure it's going to get some really, really good light. So I'm really loving this one. I'm not too familiar with this. Of course, as I mentioned, I just got this, so I'm still going to be learning. I need to do a little bit more research. But another one that Autumn gave me that looks very, very similar, pardon me as I grab it, is this Hoya obscura. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, Hoya obscura is a parent of Hoya Sunrise, which is a hybrid. And Hoya obscura, although it does have many variants, and I'm not sure if this is a variant, but Hoya obscura itself is a parent to Hoya Sunrise. So I think that's really interesting, and I'm really excited to have this as well as a hybrid made off of it in my home. Sorry for whoever's break outside is not good and needs to get their car fixed. And I do have one more plant. Oh my gosh, that's so horrible. Hold on, let's wait. I do have one more plant that Autumn traded me that falls into the same family as Hoya, but it's not a Hoya, it's a Dischidia, and it's this Dischidia nummalaria Variegata right here, which I think they also refer to as string of nickels. I'm not very familiar with common names as I am with the Latin, but this one right here is a lovely little waterfall of little round, flat, succulent leaves. It is so interesting, and it's also variegated, which is lovely. This is a really fun variegation where it's around the outside and kind of modeled through the center, so I'm really enjoying the way this one looks. And of course, I'm a fan of any plant that kind of trails down as a waterfall, so this one is really excellent. Dischidias confuse the heck out of me. I'm still learning their care. Sometimes I feel like I'm really good with Dischidias, where others I feel like, or Dischidia, I've seen your comments, I know that there are many ways to say the word, but I've been kind of questioning whether or not I know how to care for Dischidia. So some of them I find need more light, some of them I find need less light, and some of them need more water, some of them need less water. So I'm still learning, so if you guys have any tips for this particular Dischidia, I would be very interested to hear. I'm going to be babying the hell out of this plant because it actually came from another country. It was brought in legally, but Autumn actually brought them in from Canada, so I was very excited to have a plant from another country in my home, which is very, very exciting. Next, we're going to talk about all the aroids that I acquired this month, and the next two are actually ones I also traded Autumn for, so we might as well finish up the trades I did. This one right here is a Philodendron White Princess, and this thing is gorgeous. Do you guys see that variegation? That is really, really something. I'm not always the, I gotta have it if it's variegated kind of person, but this is beautiful. So I really like how small the foliage is. It's very easy to keep in a small space, so I like that. I can add another really fun plant to my collection, but it doesn't necessarily have to take up a huge amount of space like some of these other aroids that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today. But yeah, this is so cool. A really, really interesting plant. You can actually see this one right here has a little bit of a pink splash on the leaf, so really, really beautiful. This plant also gets some really nice pink color to it, just probably from the light. This is getting a lot of light. This one's also living in my Modern Sprout GrowFrame, and that is doing wonders. So I'm really enjoying this plant. It's got a new leaf coming in. It's got some really nice variegation to it, so I am in love with this plant. I'm totally smitten. And another aroid that I got from Autumn is this Philodendron melanochrysum. No, it's not a Philodendron micans. This is a very, very, very immature Philodendron melanochrysum, and I'm really excited to have this one grow for me and hopefully become an overwhelming size over the course of my lifetime. So I am very, very excited. So thank you so much, Autumn, for all these plants that we traded. I am thrilled to watch them grow. I think this one is going to be probably the one that's going to grow the most over the amount of time that I have it. So I'm thrilled for this one. I'm going to have to get this one a moss pole very, very soon so I can start its journey as a Philodendron melanochrysum. And moving on, I have two more aroids. I actually think all of these aroids kind of snuck their way into my aroid video that I did earlier this month. This is a Hummel Amina Emerald Gem. And this is a really interesting plant. I really like the way it looks from above. It's got some really nice spade-shaped leaves, some really nice veins to them. It's got some red stems, which I really enjoy. The new growth comes in really nicely, the way it kind of just emerges. It grows very similar to a peace lily. So it's not the most remarkable plant if we're being real, but like I think it's really, really something. I think it really fits into the home, and I purchased this to go into my plant corner arrangement back there because I thought this would kind of just like be a nice just plant that kind of just fits in with the rest of the crowd and kind of doesn't necessarily attract attention, but it would do very well in that environment. So not that I'm too familiar with this plant. I definitely had a leaf turn yellow already, and I can tell that this leaf is going to turn yellow, but yeah, this is definitely a really interesting plant. I really am going to have to learn a lot about it, but Hummelamenas are pretty new to me. I only grow the Hummelomena selby, which is behind me. I don't think you can see it very well, but a really nice plant, so I figured why not give another Hummelomena a go. So that's exactly what I did. And I have one more aroid to share with you guys today. I actually shared this with you guys in my last video, but I'm showing it again. This is a Syngonium cheapens. This one is rather large. I'm really excited about it. I got it from the local nursery to me, McNaughton's, and I'm really excited about this plant that they had in stock because this is a giant Syngonium cheapens. I don't think I've heard of purchasing one this big locally, for me at least, in Philadelphia. So this one has quite a few grow tips, which is rather exciting, and I'm just really thrilled to watch this one grow. I've actually decided that I'm going to have this one grow up the trellis behind me in my plant corner that's kind of blocked by my Natal mahogany, but you can kind of see there's a plant corner back there, and this one I decided is going to grow up the trellis with the Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. So I think this is really going to do a number on that trellis in a matter of a year or two. So very excited about this one. I think it's already pretty large, and I was like, holy crap, I'm going to have to find a real place for that in my home if I bring that home, because I am strapped for space, you could imagine. But this is one I could not pass on, and I decided I was going to give this one prime real estate right away. Last but not least, we're going to talk about the odds and ends, so the plants that don't fit into a category of their own. So right here I have a Peperomia, albovittata, Piccolo Banda, and once again Peperomias are in the odds and ends this month because I only got one because I'm running out of Peperomias again. I'd like to get some more, but we got to get some new one on the markets, guys, so let me know if some new Peperomias out there. But I've actually cared for one of these in the past and I killed it, so this is my second attempt. But I'm here to learn from my mistakes, and honestly, I don't know where I went wrong. I don't know if I underwatered or overwatered. I don't know if I gave it too much light or not enough light because I had this one growing underneath the grow light, but perhaps it just wasn't an easy Peperomia to grow, but I will not give up. This plant is too beautiful. You can see these leaves are just absolutely stunning, so I am eager to give this plant a grow, and I will not give up at all. So another plant I have is this. These are just cuttings, actually. This is a Rhipsalis floccose. Maybe I'm saying that right. I might be getting it entirely wrong. But this is from my friend Mike. He got a really big plant and he shared some cuttings with me. And this is such a fun plant. I love like anything dangly. You guys know I love trailing plants. I think that is step 2 when it comes to creating your home into a jungle next to getting large floor plants. But these are just so wild. They remind me of like Hoya linearis or Tillandsia usinoides, which is commonly referred to as Spanish moss. So a really nice vibe. I also have a very fine Rhipsalis in my home. I think it's Rhipsalis spicifera, and I just really enjoy it. So I've been really enjoying growing Rhipsalis in my home. I think they're really wonderful, easy plants. These are just starting to root for me. 2 of the 3 of them actually have roots on them. One of them I'm still waiting to root, but yeah, I'm gonna let these go for probably another month or 2 before I plant them up, but they're probably not gonna grow wild for me until the growing season next year. So I'm very patient, we can wait, but for now I'm really loving the way it looks hanging in my window in one of my hanging propagation bottles that I got from my work, Urban Jungle, and of course I've extended it quite a bit so it can hang rather low, but yeah, I really enjoy these. And then one more plant I have, I think I actually featured this in a recent video as well, but this is an Episcia cupreata, and of course I do not have the variation of this plant or the variant because there are just so many Epicias out there and they all have so much, there's so much foliage, there's so many flowers, some of them the same foliage and some of them have the same flowers. It's just, there's so much about it, but a really gorgeous plant. I was talking about how underrated Epicias are, so this one in particular I don't think is doing it very much justice because it's got some very plain green foliage, which I rather enjoy, but there are some really crazy varieties of Episcia out there that have red leaves, pink leaves, blue, purple, I'm sure there's many other colors as well, but those are all that I've seen. But they're just really, really interesting plants. Apicias, the most important thing about them is not to get the leaves wet with cold water. That's something the growers particularly do. They use warm water, or at least lukewarm water, but they do run their water through a hot water heater before they are watering their plants if they are growing plants that are sensitive to cold water. So maybe that's something you would want to consider doing in your home if you are growing some plants that are exactly like that, such as Apicias or African violets or Asian violets. There are a bunch of plants that kind of fall into that category. So a really interesting plant. They do want to stay on the moist side, and they are very sensitive to cold. So I would say Apicias probably wouldn't want to go below like 60 degrees. They might get a little bit upset with you. So this is a plant that you might want to consider pulling away from drafty windows in the wintertime. But other than that, this is a really excellent plant. I am really a big fan of them. Every time I get them in the store, there are so many varieties to pick from, and I tend to get got by a variety every time I get in a box, and I just, there's always one more to fall in love with. So really, really awesome plants. I highly recommend giving them a go. Alrighty, thank you all so much for joining me for my November 2019 plant haul. Be sure to check out Modern Sprout's Black Friday sale to receive 25% off some Modern Sprout products. If you don't already, follow me on Instagram at PhillyFoliage, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in my next video. Have a great day!